acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. May your word come forth with clarity and with power, and bring change and transformation in the lives of your people, for the advancement of your kingdom, and for the establishment of your purposes here on this earth. So may serve this day, and may you and you one day be glorified. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. The scripture lesson was read from the book of Daniel, chapter 10. And I'm going to be using Daniel chapter 10 as the kind of base text. And we'll close with the second part, which is in Ephesians. And I want to talk a little bit today for a few moments on facing or unseen enemy. Facing or unseen enemy. Oftentimes, we place so much emphasis on our physical experience of life that we oftentimes sacrifice or compromise the other part of our experience, which is not physical. We often hear of our five senses, but it's interesting to note that although our eyes allow us to see, it is actually possible to see without your eyes. It happens when you sleep, when you dream, and when you have a vision. So I'm saying then that there seems to be more going on than just our physical dimensions, right? We know we can talk using audible words, but oftentimes we talk to ourselves, as we say, in our minds. That's what a thought is. A thought is words you speak that no ears hear. And so, if you're planning to come to church, you'd have thought about it. You'd have said it to yourself. So we can actually talk without using audible words. We can see without using physical eyes. So we have a dimension to our lives that is non-tangible and non-physical. Right? The Bible calls it spiritual. And so I just want to share with us a little bit about that today from the book of Daniel and Ephesians, and to see if we, by God's grace, might be able to draw some lessons and learnings for it as we see to live lives pleasing to God. So turn your Bibles with me to Daniel chapter 10. Daniel chapter 10. And as you turn it, I have a little question to ask. It's a rhetorical question, but the question is, are you able to see the person sitting next to you? You don't have to answer. And as you think about it, my follow-up question would be, are you sure you're seeing the person, or you're seeing their body that holds the person? You see, what's interesting about it is this, that if someone's accused of a particular crime and the police have them in custody and put them in a lineup and call you the victim to point out the person, they would ask you to identify the person. Alright? God forbid there's an accident and someone who you know was a victim. When the officers or the medical team call someone who's close to the deceased, they're asking you to identify the body, not the person, because the person gone already. Are you with me? So you'll be the only person, not at your funeral, you'd have checked out a long time. It's just the body that they're honoring in your life. So the point I'm making then, brothers and sisters, is that the real you is sitting on the inside, and nobody sees it, nobody human. Yeah. And so when we talk about our unseen enemy, your unseen enemy is not interested in affecting your body, your physical body. And we'll get a little bit more to that in Ephesians. Your unseen enemy is about affecting the unseen part of you that we tend to neglect to our own detriment. And the world that we live in is not just a physical world. I often say, today we've had long conversations about this, that in my view, I believe, as human beings, we're having two kinds of experiences at the same time. Think about it. We can all agree without much dissent that we have thoughts, and we have feelings or emotions, but nobody can show me a thought in a test tube or a feeling on a piece of paper. These are all intangible, but feelings become tangible by expressions, and emotions by expressions. So they're intangible, but they express themselves tangibly by expressions. And the thoughts express themselves through words. So the point I'm trying to get across, my friends, is there's a part of your world that is intangible, but yet you're living in a physical world. So it seems then that we're having what I would call an augmented experience. We're living in an augmented reality. Part is virtual and part is physical. And we are interplaying between both worlds at the same time. The problem is, the world has systematically trained us to believe that only the physical part of our lives are important. And therein lies our spiritual downfall, when we neglect the other, more weightier part of ourselves. So Daniel chapter 10, I'll read from verse 1. In the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a message was revealed to Daniel, whose name was called Belshazzar. The message was true, but the appointed time was long, and he understood the message and had an understanding of the vision. In those days, I, Daniel, was mourning 3 full weeks. I ate no pleasant food, no meat or wine came to my mouth, nor did I anoint myself at all, till 3 whole weeks were fulfilled. Now, on the 24th day of the 1st month, I was by the side of the great river, that is, the Tigris. I lifted my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose waist was girded with the gold of Uphaz. His body was like beryl, his face like the appearance of lightning, his eyes like torches of fire, his arms and feet like burnished bronze in color, and the sound of his words like the voice of a multitude. And I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, for the men who were with me did not see the vision, but a great terror fell upon them, so that they fled to hide themselves. Let's pause a second. So, we learned, and I want you to make mental note of it, that this incident happened in the 3rd year when Cyrus was king of the Persian kingdom. So we're time-balancing that. Cyrus was in his 3rd year as king in the Persian kingdom. And in those days, Daniel was mourning for 3 weeks. And it says that while he was by the river Tigris with his entourage, because it goes without saying that Daniel was a very important person in Babylon. So he would have had his own aides or assistants or his entourage. And while he was by the river Tigris, he saw a person. And he described the person. And he spoke about the sound of the person's voice and the appearance of the person's face and so on. And it says that although he had other persons with him, the other persons didn't see anything. As a matter of fact, they ran and hid. They ran for cover. So my question is, if they didn't see anything, why would they run and hide? Well, if they didn't see anything, maybe some other sense picked up some other experience, some other sensation. So if they didn't see anything, they probably heard something or felt something on the appearance of this person. So Daniel was the only person in that group who stood still. Everyone else fled. And not just fled, they fled and hid themselves. What is interesting about that, this kind of appearance of a person in linen and glorious in appearance and face like lightning, it's not the first time we see it in the scriptures. If you make a note of it, you can read it when you go home. In Matthew 28, when the women went to the tomb anoint Jesus' body with spices and so on. When they came to the tomb, it says that there was a great earthquake in Jerusalem, and it gave us the reason why there was an earthquake. It says, and I read, now after the Sabbath, at the first day of the week, as the first day of the week began to dawn, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary came to the tomb, and behold, there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord descended from heaven. So it was the reason for the earthquake. The angel of the Lord descended and came and rolled back the stone from the door and sat on it. His countenance was like lightning, and his clothing as white as snow. And the guards shook for fear of him and became like dead men. Euphemism for fainting. They dropped down. So the point is, there was an earthquake in Jerusalem, but I'm not sure everybody saw the angels. The same thing happened in Daniel. A man appeared with similar description. The persons around didn't see anything, but they ran and hid. Obviously, fear and terror took them up. Took them over based on what was happening. So I'm suggesting that something terrible happened. What's interesting about it is this: that even when you can't see something physical, it doesn't mean something really is not happening. And that is the thing we have to understand about our spiritual lives, that our spiritual lives are not lived in a physical realm. And so they didn't see, but they experienced something, and they went and they hid. And it says in Daniel chapter 10 now, therefore I was left alone when I saw this great vision, and no strength remained in me, for my vigor was turned into frailty in me, and I retained no strength. Then I had the same response as the soldiers at the tomb. Literally, all strength left his body, and he fainted. Now, let that settle in a little bit. This is a servant that is sent out by God. I mean, this is the servant that the master sent. Can you imagine? If a servant causes us to lose our breath, to lose our strength, what if the master were to appear himself? Oftentimes we think we are God are on the same level, my brothers and sisters. But we're not even we and the angels that him send out as messengers are on the same level in terms of their power and might. So God ought to be feared. Don't let anybody tell you about you not to be afraid of God. If you see an angel, nobody has to tell you not to be afraid. The angel himself don't tell you that. Your natural reaction is going to be fear. So the point I'm trying to get across is that here is somebody appearing, but only Daniel could see. The others couldn't see. So something is happening. I'm getting to a pivot point. Then suddenly the hand touched me and raised up Daniel, and by this time in verse 10, Daniel was on his hands and his knees and trembling. And then the person began to speak in verse 10. Oh Daniel, man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak to you and stand upright. Now you have to understand that according to verse 6, these words sound like when the stadium has 40,000 people shouting. It sounds like a great multitude. Can you imagine that? So these words, it says, oh Daniel, man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak to you. Think of the stadium with 40,000 people shouting one time in your ears. That's what it sounded like. The power and might of the voice reverberating in his ears. That's the power of a servant. But yet nobody else saw it, only Daniel. Nobody else heard it, only Daniel. And it goes on to say, verse 12, then he said to me, do not fear, Daniel, for from the first day that you set your heart to understand and to humble yourself before God, your words were heard. In fact, it says, and I have come because of your words. Now hold on, my brothers and sisters. You mean to tell me that Daniel, as a mortal man, his words as a mortal man could cause the forces of heaven to send somebody like that to his aid and assistance to establish God's purposes on earth? In other words, my brothers and sisters, our words have the power to move heaven in the interest of earth and the purposes of God. So when we talk about spiritual warfare, we're not talking about a physical combat. Now, it says from the moment he started praying, his words were heard and the answer, he was sent. And then he goes on to say, I can't pick up your words, at verse 13, but the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. The same amount of time he was mourning. Hold on now. So we learned from verse 1, so this is my pivot point now. So we came on verse 1, and we learned that Cyrus was the king of Persia. Now we read about Daniel facing someone who came but was sent 21 years earlier, but was prevented by the prince of Persia. Well, this prince of Persia was not Cyrus' son. This prince of Persia was blocking the angel from coming down to Daniel. This was a prince occupying a position known as principality. So a prince was locking the airwaves to prevent revelation from coming to the people of God. What am I saying? Persia had a prince ruling over it. And when you read the rest of the chapter, it says that I have to go back and fight against the prince of Persia. And when I am gone, the prince of Greece will come. Well, that's exactly correct, because Greece was the next kingdom that took over from the Medo-Persian Empire. So Greece had a prince ruling over it as well. And so as each change of dispensation, each change of kingdom, a prince came and ruled over it. The point I'm saying is that in the heavenly realms, there are principalities and powers that rule over each other. So here we're seeing that there's an invisible kingdom, there's an invisible organization that's taking place above Persia. And here's what I find interesting. It says, verse 20, then he said, do you know why I have come to you? And now I must return to fight with the prince of Persia. And when I have gone forth, indeed the prince of Greece will come. And verse 21, but I will tell you what is noted in the scripture of truth. No one upholds me against these except Michael, your prince. So Michael was the archangel, the prince responsible for the Israelites, for the Israelite people. And if you want to kind of boast that reference, can you look at chapter 12, verse 1, when he spoke up, when he says, at that time, Michael shall stand up, the great prince who stands watch over the sons of your people. So that brings it clear that Michael is actually the archangel. Arch means ruler. So an archbishop is a bishop who rules over other bishops. An archangel is an angel who rules over other angels. So Michael is the prince that rule over the people of God, the Israelites. And so when this messenger had a problem, he called the emergency line. And Michael came and freed up the line. So what we're recognizing then is that there is a battle taking place in the air involving principalities and powers. And I just want to make one quick reference in chapter 30 where it says, but the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days, and behold, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me. For I have been left alone with the kings of Persia. Kings of Persia? Kings are rulers, right? So here we're seeing principalities and rulers. Rulers of what? The darkness. Darkness is ignorance. So these rulers of the darkness of this world intend to keep the people of God from getting God's revelations light. In fact, Paul says it this way, our gospel is not hidden. except to those who are perishing, whose minds the God of this age has blinded, lest they should believe the glorious gospel of Jesus Christ and be changed and transformed. So there is a rulership of darkness that want to keep God's people ignorant of his revelation and his transforming power. So, having said all of what we've said as a background, let me just pivot to the scripture we are familiar with, which is Ephesians 6. So let's just spend a few minutes on Ephesians 6 and then we can just wrap it. Finally, my brethren, verse 10, Ephesians 6. Be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand, against the wiles of the devil. The wiles of the devil? Wiles meaning stratagem, cunning, crafty. So the devil uses strategy and craft and cunning in his fight with us. So while we are living a physical life and looking for a physical battle, your enemy is not interested in that. He's more crafty than that. And so the apostle is saying to us through the scriptures, we have to put on the whole armor of God so that we might be able to stand against the wiles of the devil, the strategies of the devil, the craftiness of the devil. For here it is now. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood. Let's pause for a second. I know we've heard this a lot, and I know you're probably saying, yeah, I'll explain that again, I know it. But let's pause a second. Here the scripture is telling us that as people of God, our battle is not against persons with bodies. We're not fighting against people that have physical bodies. That should be very comforting. You know why I'm saying that? It means it doesn't matter what you and any other human being have, they're not the enemy. All of a sudden your enemies, your human enemies disappear. And so God will command us to love your enemies. You're not allowed to have a human being. You're not allowed to hate a human being. Or not to forgive a human being. Your enemies don't have bodies. So as long as you see somebody that has a body, they can't be an enemy. They are objects of your love and devotion and care and forgiveness. Because they're in the image and likeness of God. So we're not fighting against flesh and blood, against persons with body. So we're fighting against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. So I use Daniel chapter 10 as a basis to kind of illustrate that. So when you read that, you can put some flesh to it. It kind of illustrates, right? So it is saying that we're fighting against principalities and powers. It doesn't mean that you're going to jump up in the air and go into the heaven and fight the angels. No. Daniel showed it work. How can we fight without physical combat? Let's just put our minds to it for the next few moments. We are used to, and worse, it is saying we don't wrestle. You know, wrestling is close combat. It's a close combat sport. So when you're wrestling, you're talking about physical combat. We're just saying our close combat is not against persons with body and soul. Let's pause for a second. How can a war, a fight, a battle, a wrestle takes place without physical combat? Think about it. And you recognize that you're familiar with that kind of scenario when people talk about a war of words, a court battle. In a court battle, there is no physical combat. In a propaganda war, there is no physical combat. In other words, when words are being used as weapons, there need not be any physical combat. So persons can fight against you without touching you physically. Persons can support you without touching you physically. That's how powerful words are. And I don't want to go that far, but in Revelation there was a war in heaven. And the war was the words. They overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. So our battle is a battle for the preeminence of somebody's word. Whose word is going to prevail? And so our wrestle is not against persons with bodies, it's against principalities and powers and rulers of the darkness of this world. Let me explain something to you, brothers and sisters. These are not names of demons and names of angels. It's positions of authority. So if you talk about CEO, manager, supervisor, staff, positions, it can't be by anybody. So we're fighting against principalities, that's one level, powers, that's one level, rulers of the darkness of this age, spiritual hosts of wickedness. Are very organized. Didn't Jesus say that Satan has a kingdom? Yeah, and God has a kingdom. So what happens then is that we're born, when you're born to the kingdom, you're born into a war that predates you and will post-date you. Didn't the scripture say we are to love our enemies? Yeah, but is Satan your enemy? No. He's not. He's God's enemy. You're just born into the war and you've chosen your side. Are you with me? Yeah. Love your enemy, man. Because the enemies we see are human beings. The persons who we see as enemies are human beings. The enemies you can't see are the ones we fight against. And Paul would make the case in 2 Corinthians 10 very eloquently that you can write it down, 2 Corinthians 10 verse 3 to 5. It says, "For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty in God for pulling down strongholds." So your enemy isn't physical, your warfare isn't physical, and the weapons aren't physical. And if I'm saying the weapons are words, then words aren't physical. Words is probably the most spiritual thing we interact with every day. So our weapons are mighty, not in ourselves, in God, to the pulling down of strongholds and casting down imaginations or arguments and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ. So we're recognizing now that the devil has some devices, or enemy has some devices that he uses. I just want to kind of tap it on that. Devices such as imagination and thoughts. Think about it. Whatever manages or drives or influences your thoughts will affect how you think. Whatever captures your imagination will influence how you feel. So, no, your enemy will not tell you to go out and sin. Your enemy will not tell you to go out and dishonor God. Not as unsophisticated as that. Your enemy will just need to provide you with sufficient thoughts that you entertain that are ungodly, and sufficient images in action, called imagination, that are ungodly. And after a while, your thoughts and your feelings start organize themselves in keeping with the intangible content you're consuming. And so if your thoughts and your feelings are managed in a particular way, then you don't need to worry about how you're going to act. Your behavior will be consistent with your dominant thoughts and feelings. And so our enemy use these wiles. What surprises me, I started to hear some time ago about some 13, 14-year-old young girls And their conversation to each other was about boyfriend and girlfriend. 12, 13. But it's not surprising when you look at the content that Disney is feeding them. Yeah. And so we leave them on Disney because it's safe, it's family friendly. But we don't know what kind of thoughts and imagination Disney is feeding them. And then after a while, their conversations, their behavior starts reflecting those thoughts and feelings. The point I'm saying, brothers and sisters, is this. Oftentimes we don't see the danger in the war because nothing on the television say I should go out and dishonor God. It doesn't. But it allows you to entertain a thought. It allows you to entertain an imagination, to be captivated by a thought. And so, did not the scripture says that our battle is about casting down those strongholds and those imaginations and those thoughts and any high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. That sounds like something happening on the inside of people and not on the outside. And brothers and sisters, we're living in a time when the prince of the power of the air has so saturated the airwaves that it is almost toxic for healthy spiritual survival. And so maybe part of the solution might be that we as people of God might need to start creating our own content. Yeah, I haven't been to the movies in a long time. Yeah, because most of the movies are about people stealing, killing, revenge, adultery, yeah, fornication. Those are the themes. Yeah. But it's just a movie. Yes, it's just a movie because it's meant to just give you a thought. That's all. And what's interesting about this is simply this. You don't talk about physical taste, but after a while, you can develop an aesthetic taste for that kind of art and culture. And soon thereafter, our lives get into a trap and we wonder how it happened because we've been victim to the wiles of the enemy. This war, this battle, my friend, is taking place on the inside. And so we have to ensure that we watch the gates. Watch the ear gate, the eye gate, the hand gate. We have to watch and be vigilant, for our enemy is like a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. So my moment with this morning is not to scare you about spiritual warfare, it's to say, let us then be vigilant as we live our lives, not in the flesh, but in the spirit, and henceforth see no man after the flesh. May God bless you.
Amen. We stand and sing together, fight the good fight with all thy might. Christ is thy strength, and Christ thy light.